You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. You know why? You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So, what'll I make you? Good?
As soon as you hear my voice, just go ahead and share this shit. Thank God it's Friday. As soon as you see my face, you hear my voice, just go ahead and share this shit. Let's get the easy shit out the way so we can get to the tough shit. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who this is, I am Mario J, and this is Tough Love. It's been a while. I feel like it's been a minute since I've talked to you guys. Congratulations, I'm back. Did you miss me? Somebody gonna say no, but that's okay. That's okay, because sometimes you don't know what you missing until it's gone. But I'm back now. I'm ready. Listen, it has been a lot of stuff going on lately in the news, and I really just want to talk about everything, but specifically, I want to talk about this. I think this is going to blow some people's mind. No more government assistance. Huh? I'm talking to everybody right now. See, here's the thing. A lot of times when you think about government assistance, you think about, it's not, people that got money. It's always low income housing. But here's the thing. A lot of people who feel like they pay taxes are paying for that government assistance. So my thing about it is, with all the voting, we know November 3rd is right around the corner. I don't know if you're a Republican. I don't know if you're a Democrat. I don't know which side of the table you stand on. But what I'm telling you right now, suppose you had a candidate running right now and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut off government assistance. I'm going to make people responsible for their families. I'm going to make adults adult up. Would that weigh you in regards to who you would vote for? If Trump came out right now and said, you know what, I'm cutting off all government assistance when it comes to people having children out of wedlock, would that weigh your vote? If Biden says, you know what, hey, I'm for the black community and I want to build the black community, so therefore I'm going to let the black community police themselves up, govern themselves. Because see, it's been a lot of people talking some shit. It's been a lot of people talking some shit in regards to saying the black community can stand on their own. They don't need police to come in there and police them up. They got them. They good. So my thing about it is, since we having a tough conversation right now, right? I want to ask you something. If there was a candidate right now, a political candidate, a presidential candidate right now that says, I'm going to stop all government assistance. You know what I'm saying? And it forces you to adult up. It forces you to go out there and get a job. It forces you to take care of your own kids. Would that change your outlook on the presidential candidacy? Would that change your outlook on Trump? Would that change your outlook on Biden? Would that change how you voted? There's a lot of people that feel like as long as that there is government assistance or whatever case be, people are going to remain lazy. How many times have you said, hey, listen, my taxpayer money, I pay for the police, I pay for the firefighters, right? And we boss up, we talk our shit. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, when you talk about these low-income communities, Section 8 housing, suppose the government says, you know what, you made that bed, you're gonna lay in it. Suppose they said, you want police reform so bad, I tell you what we'll do is we won't police where you live at anymore. Then what? Oh, y'all wanted to talk some shit? Let's talk some shit. This tough love. Suppose a candidate comes out and says, for all the people that say, I want police reform, we don't want the police, we don't need them, et cetera, et cetera. Suppose we say, okay, we're going to put you on a do not go list. Huh? You live on Madison Avenue? At 1246 Madison Avenue, we don't go on that block because you said you wanted police reform or you wanted. Matter of fact, there's a difference between reform and we don't need the police. I think there's a lot of people when you start talking about reform, we never get to the end of the sentence. We always start with those, we don't need the police. Hell no. But we don't get to the end of the sentence where we talk about reallocating funds within that organization. Shout out to the House of Spades. We had a great, healthy debate last night, and we were talking about police reform, and we were talking about, basically how money should be reallocated toward inside the organization. And here's my issue. My issue is that a lot of times when you start saying that you don't need something, it's because you've never been in a position to need it. So you don't know what you need, right, until you need it. And I think that it's better to be safe than sorry. We got into this whole debacle about whether we think the police needs Black Butterfly, what's going on? Sunshine Williams, what's going on? We got into this whole debacle about do the police need tanks? And I stood firm on my shit because I felt like, the police need what they need to govern or to respond to certain activity, depending on what it is, depending on where it is and how it is. That's how you need to rectify the situation or whatever the case may be. I felt that if people have never been in a hostile environment, then they don't really understand the need to govern and how to govern that hostile environment or whatever. But my thing about it is, let's rewind this a little bit because I really think that I believe that parents should be responsible for their children. But what if the government had a bigger hand in making parents responsible for their kids? I'm going to lay out some scenarios, and I want you guys to tell me how you feel. The chat room blowing up right now. I want you guys to tell me how you feel about this. Suppose the government mandated that if you didn't reach a certain criteria, okay, financially, okay, mentally, if you didn't reach a certain criteria, so you come up with a general criteria that you need to have. You have general criteria when you go to a job interview. You have general criteria when you're in a relationship with somebody. There's general things that you need to bring to the table. Huh? Let me talk my shit. Huh? Delicate Jewel is in the building. Let me talk my shit. There are general things in life that we need to have. All right. Shout out to Miss Green. There are general things that we need to have or whatever case to be. So that what I'm saying is, suppose the government says, well, if you don't have a 9 to 5, right? You don't make a specific amount of money, right? If you don't have a certain psychological standpoint, like if you don't score, on this test, a certain height or whatever case may be, a certain percentage, now you can't have no kids. I wonder if the government mitigated who can have kids or not, would that circumvent a lot of problems down the road? Like, would that circumvent a lot of police brutality? Would it circumvent mass incarceration? Would it circumvent a lot of low-income housing, the need for it? Huh? Ms. Green says you can't get food stamps unless you're working and have bills. And I guess the comeback would be check this out. Working where? So many hours. Is it Taco Bell? Is it a career? Or is it like a fast food restaurant? Like you're just a fry person? Because we all know that if you live in low income housing or whatever, there's certain ways around certain things. But what I really want to do right now is I want to force some people to think about some shit. Because it's tough love. I want to force you to think about some shit. If you had a presidential candidate that says, I'm going to stop all government assistance when it comes to certain things. And one of those things is, if you have that baby, then that's on you. That's on you. We not giving you no money. We not giving you no support. That's on you and that father. Do you think that would change the narrative in regards to how we see parenting? Do you think that would make more people responsible, or do you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing? How do y'all feel about it right now? Okay. Okay. Crystal Renee says, I'm cool with it. I think that it should be mandated. Okay, Black Butterfly said they stop having them. My whole thing about it is I feel like this is a situation where, to be honest with you guys, there are a lot of people having kids that are not in positions to have kids. And there is no one around them. You know how you say you have that role model? There's nobody around them to coach them. Like I had a conversation earlier, right? And shout out to the special person I was having a conversation with. I was having a conversation earlier and I was talking about, making both men and women responsible for having children. That means making them wear condoms and making women take the birth control or whatever the case may be. And if they don't fulfill their obligation, then there should be some legal aspects to that. That's it. Now we're not talking about if you say you don't want a kid or whatever the case may be and you deliberately do something. I'm talking about making it mandated that if you're going to have sex, that you have to have, protection. And if you don't, that there's some type of legal recourse. Do you think that should be a thing, or you don't think that the government should fool with that? Because a lot of people are going to say, we don't want the government in our business. We don't want the government to man stuff. But here's you got all of these kids that lack education, that lack the proper upbringing, right? That lack the proper communication skills, that don't have food, that don't have shelter. And it's like, how do you mitigate that? Lloyd says, dude, why? Well, listen to me. I want y'all to hear me out. If the government mandated certain things, okay, let's just talk about having children. Let's keep that on that premise right there, right? All right. Babies having babies. And that's what I'm saying. Suppose it was mandated that you could not have a child, right, unless you had X, Y, and Z. Now, X, Y, and Z is something that collectively we all vote for. Everybody has a say in, and we take the top 10 or 20 things, and these are the things that we're talking. Now, we're not talking about you need to have $1 million to have a kid. We're not talking about that. We're talking about general things. You need to have a place to stay. You need to maintain a place to stay for the past 6 months to a year. Check. You need to have a 9 to 5. Check. You don't need to have one of the things you can't have any pedophilia on your record or anything like that. Check. So that'll keep a lot of kids from being born into a situation where they're going to be extorted or whatever the case may be. So what I'm saying, a general, specific, mandated outline of this is what you need to have in order to have a child. Now I'm really about to hit y'all with some shit. Check this out. So suppose we had it also mandated, because we know child support is a big thing. We know that's something that won't go away. We know that's something that's always big. And when we think about that, we always think about the father being a deadbeat and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we know that the child support system definitely is in the mother's favor. It's in the non-custodial parent, the custodial parent's favor. And 9 times out of 10, it's the mother, right? Automatically, depending on what the situation is. Suppose there was a mandate, that means a legal mandate to say, you know what, if the father decides, I don't want to have this child. It was a one night stand when we hooked up or whatever the case may be. And now we say, you know what, we going to court. And the father says, I am not financially in a position. I am not mentally in a position, nor do I have the household to provide for this child. Your Honor, this is the reason why I don't want to have this child. And the mother comes back with, so? I don't think y'all heard me. I don't think you heard me out there. Hello? Huh? Or the best case scenario is, hey, I just want a baby. I just want your baby. But no factual premise. How many kids do you think it would alleviate from being born if we had that mandate in place? I said I'm gonna throw it out there. We having a tough conversation. How many children do you think moving forward would missed the opportunity of dealing with a lot of negative things, such as going back and forth between parents that don't get along because obviously one person wanted a child, the other person didn't, or somebody lied about something. Let the judge decide, because the judge decides on hard shit all the time. So if you say factually, you lay out your argument, I don't have the money, right? I don't have a place to stay. I don't have a vehicle. I don't have X, Y, and Z. And someone is able to lay out an argument that makes sense. What then do you say to a person that says, okay, I was only thinking emotionally and I wasn't thinking about the child? Uh-oh, the comments are slowing up. Don't slow up now. I told y'all I was going to make y'all think on this. I told y'all I was going to make y'all think on this. If you were able to take someone to court, let's say the father wanted to have the child, but the mother didn't. And again, the mother says, hey, listen, I don't want to put my body through the rigmarole of having a kid. I'm a dancer. I'm in school. I'm going to Juilliard. I'm doing all of these things. And the father like, nah, forget all that. She going to have my kid. And they go in front of a judge and she lays out why. And he lays out why. And the judge says, okay, well, hey, I think that this pregnancy should be terminated. What do y'all think about that? What do you think if the government had a stake in that or whatever? You got to think about, there are people that's getting football numbers when it comes to doing small and petty crimes, right? And the judge is able to sit down and say, how I'm going to mandate your life. Right? Whether you get life in prison, whether you get 15 or 25, whether parole is going to be given, all that stuff, right? So why wouldn't a judge be able to mandate a pregnancy where two people, you look and evaluate two people's worth? They net worth, they psychological worth, everything. You run it down and you say, okay, let's look at y'all finances. Let's look at where you stay at. Both of y'all live in y'all parents' basement, right? One's a high school dropout. The other one is working at McDonald's, making minimum wage, right? The other one just got out of jail for whatever reason. They back and forth in jail or whatever case may be. Would you as a judge say this couple should have a child? The problem is there is nothing to mitigate that in life. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to mitigate those two people from saying, you know what? I know that we're not a good fit for each other, but why would you bring a child into the situation? I.e., let's say you got two couples and both of them strung out on drugs. Would you as a judge say, oh yeah, because pro-life, pro-choice, whatever the case may be, would you say it's okay for y'all to have a child? Uh-oh, where the godly people at? Where them Christians at? Let me talk to some Muslims, some Pentecostals. I need somebody to talk to me. Somebody say, hey, you can't play God. I don't think it's about playing God. I think it's about laying out, certain things that will help moving forward. When we start talking about communities with low incomes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I think if there was a mandate to control certain situations, then a lot of kids wouldn't be continuously born in a generational curse. You get pregnant at 15 years old because you don't know life. You don't know your body, but you out there giving up your body. Some little boy that talked you out your drawers and now you pregnant. So what do you do? What do you do now? What do you say? You say, okay, well, hey, I'm going to have this kid. 2 years later, you have another kid. Another year later after that, you have another kid. Your whole young adult teenage life has been having children back to back. Now, my thing about it is, who's responsible for that situation? Is it the young adults involved, or should the parents have taught them better? I need somebody to talk to me. Talk to me. You know what? Let me make this a little bit more challenging for y'all, because sometimes you got to do certain. They're gonna number right there. I want to make this more interesting. I want you guys to call in if you feel like you want some smoke. You want to get some stuff off your chest. Thank God it's Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuning in right now, this is the Tough Love Podcast, and I am yours truly, Mario J. And we are talking about, suppose a candidate decided to say no more government assistance towards certain things. Like if you have a child out of wedlock, we're not supporting you. We're not giving you a home. We're not doing none of that or whatever because you didn't pass the test. We came up with a simple test. It was a multiple choice test, and we're not going to help you because you decided to move forward and couldn't pass the test. Simple multiple choice. I think that would alleviate a lot of men standing in front of judges at the end of the day talking about child support. If you didn't want the child, then to me, you shouldn't have had the child. I think it would save women a whole lot of heartache and a whole lot of pain. Don't have sex with men that don't see you as a mother. You know, a mother to their children. I just that's how I feel. I wouldn't want any one of my daughters to be a single parent and have to work two jobs to raise a child because the father didn't want to be involved. To me, my question to you guys is, why have the child? Why have the child? If you're just going to grow up and you're going to be full of bitter and hate and vindictiveness, and then now you're pouring that into the child, again, that's why I said, do you guys think, Brandon says I'm calling. Let me see, Brandon. Let me see if you're calling. I don't see nothing yet, Brandon. Brandon said he wants smoke. Brandon said he want the smoke, y'all. Hey, pull up then, man. Let me see what you got, man. But I mean, this is one of those situations where when I see it ringing, brother, I'll answer it. So, yeah, so my whole thing about it is I believe that a mandate should be put in place to help these children out, because my thing about it, why are you bringing children in the world that you can't take care of? And now you're leaving it on the taxpayers to support your kids, but then it be the same people in regards to getting all of this support or whatever case be. My thing about it is, how many women do you see that get this assistance, right? Or let's just say don't even say women. How many custodial parents that get this assistance and they actually do something with it? They actually do something with it. It's tough love. You on the line. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, what's going on, man?
Man, I want to smoke.
Uh-oh, he wants to smoke, y'all.
All this government mandate crap.
Uh-oh.
Y'all tripping. Like, you gotta understand, like, you know, what are we gonna do about loneliness? What you gonna do about people's natural sexual urges? What you gonna do about all these things? Like, you gotta look at, you know, back in the day, people used to get married and have kids significantly younger and have significantly more kids. The reason why it's so expensive and stuff is so messed up because we got all these extra needs that has been added by society, but none of this stuff is natural. So now we got to adapt to this industrialized society and restrict all this natural stuff. You know, we're already suffering from all of the things that we're dealing with already, the added stress, all the drug addictions, and all these things that are all part of it because we're living in a situation that just wasn't really meant for us to live in. So you're saying, oh, let's add more unnatural shit, as if that's going to fix anything. It's not.
I think the reason why I say I feel like it's going to fix something is because right now you don't have anything that mandates childbirth. Like you're just reproducing. You're having 4 or 5 kids inside of situations that, first of all, if you're a mom and you're a single mom, okay, and you don't have the common sense to say, you know what, bro, I need to slow down on this sex and get a better way for me and my children to get up out of this low income housing. My thing about it is, if you don't have anyone saying we gonna make you do right, then 9 times out of 10 people not gonna do right.
I mean, you gotta look at, like, look how old humanity is versus how long we've had these sort of problems, like public housing, right? Public housing is a extremely new concept. You look at the age of civilization, and so all of these things that are natural have to be adapted to all of these new world things that just are not compatible with all that. Like, you gotta look look at big picture. Stop looking at the zoom in. Okay, this is all we know because of what we grew up in, but it's not natural.
I'm looking at the big picture. The big picture is that we have men and women who live in low income housing, and there is no mandate to say, you know what, instead of worrying about reproducing, let's worry about actually fixing our communities. And you can't do that when there's no stigma on, hey, this is how we're gonna fix this shit. We're gonna stop having kids and we're gonna start promoting better jobs, building our communities.
You sound like you poverty shaming. You're poverty shaming right now.
No. I don't think it's poverty shame. My thing about it is, listen, when you don't have, look, we already say that there is fathers not in the home in the black community. Am I right or wrong? That's already a stigma on the black community that black men are not in the home. And also that there are black women who are left to raise these kids. My thing about it is, if you put a mandate, right, that says, hold on, wait a minute, before we even get to the black man not being in the home, because it probably was already a shaky situation to begin with, i.e. several one-night stands, right? Several romps, in the hay. If we put a mandate that says, okay, if you guys have these kids, we're not, as the government, going to support that. We're going to put that onus on you. We put it on you early from the front. The issue is that when you don't do that, you're free willy-nilly to continue the same cycle. That's why that generational curse continues, because you don't put mandates on saying, instead of you just having children, we're now going to say, are you in a position to have children? And this mandate is enforced by the government, but it comes from the people. You and I that say, you know what? What does the average person need to have to take care of a child? First of all, if you ain't got no job, why are you having a kid? Let's be fucking realistic. Let's be real. If you strung out on drugs, why are you having a kid?
But that's part of the whole issue. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're not looking at the bigger picture. Like, part of the issue, okay, there's people that's actually born rich, and they can live just as recklessly because they have to be born in a better financial situation. It's just like all of the stuff designed to, already punish poor people. When you look at situations like, when a crime has a fine, it's like saying it's legal for you to do it as long as you can pay for the fine, right? And so that's why you got all these people with license.
I tell you what, because I really want this smoke. I put the link on there. Y'all hit this link and y'all join this conversation. You ain't even got to call in. If you got your hair done, everything done, go ahead and hit the link, because I think this brother is making a point. I think it's Lloyd, House of Spades. Shout out to him. My thing about it is, I really want people to understand that we need to do something to mitigate children being born to bad situations. And if there's no mother, right, that's young, that's old enough or mature enough to teach them that, and there's no father in the home that's old enough and mature enough. Say what?
Where's this? I just pulled up trying to find this link. Why don't you put it in the? Why don't you put?
I put it in the chat group. I put it in the chat that on the. You should be able to see it. I just put it in there.
Put it in what? No, how about you put it in the House of Spades group so I can click it, because I don't see it.
Hold on. It's in there. Let's get it. I see you there.
All right, got it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those situations where you have to be open-minded and you gotta be realistic about shit. If we say that we want the black community to be great, right? And we're screaming at, you know what, we don't need the police. We gonna handle our own shit. Okay, cool. If we gonna handle our own shit, we also need to handle how we control our births, how we can actually put our children. My thing, it's much easier to maneuver when you don't have a lot of kids versus having a few kids or no kids. So can we deal with what we have and then move forward? Let me bring in the House of Spades representative, Mr. Lloyd. You in the building. What up, Lloyd?
What's up? How about we gonna restrict things? How about we restrict everything? All these unnecessary expenses. Forget this cable, forget these cell phones, forget cars, all this stuff that add extra expenses to people's lives in the first place, so they can. So, because the problem is definitely not just poor people, and really the way, if you really look at how things are set up, the way that things are set up is so that the rich actually survive the poor.
I got another caller, brother. I got another caller.
It's the many supporting the few.
You on?
What's up, bro? How you doing? It's Kendrick Wilson.
Kendrick Wilson, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, bro? I mean, I hit the inbox, man, and I apologize to you about the whole situation. I mean, you had a nice little conversation almost 2 months ago about, a little over a month and a half ago about the Breonna Taylor situation. I remember you had made a video basically saying that you thought Breonna's family had sold out, and it pissed me off.
It pissed a lot of people off.
Pissed me off too, man. I feel it.
It pissed me off because at the time, I was on Breonna Taylor's legal team.
Okay.
I was on her legal team, and I had discovered a lot of things, but at the time I hadn't discovered that her mother had sold her out. And I wasn't really quite, being a black man, I wasn't ready to accept that. But as I got deeper and deeper into the situation and being the one person on the legal team that did not take the money, and I started looking into things and started putting two and two together, I realized, damn, bro was right. And, my Facebook page got taken away from me for about a month because they was trying to keep my truth from coming out. And the first thing I thought about is once I got my page back popping, I was like, I got to find bro. But I had forgot your name and all that stuff because me and you had only spoke, that one time.
Right.
Here I am this morning. I see you on, you on live in the video, and I'm like, look, man, I gotta apologize to bro, and I made sure I went to your inbox. But more importantly, I wanted to do it publicly because me and you had a little debate publicly, and I told you was wrong publicly. So it's only right as a man for me to tell you that I apologize. You was absolutely right. Breonna Taylor's mother sold her out. And all the evidence is all over the world to prove it. And, me being on a legal team, I got a shitload of evidence to prove it. So I just want to let you know I apologize for calling you out on that situation.
Hey, big brother, I appreciate you calling. Like I said, we live right now. But listen, I really appreciate you calling in, letting me know, that you found out more information about the Breonna Taylor situation. I do wish her family, the best, and I hope that she rests in peace. I was coming from a place of love and experience based on the things that I know, but I'm glad that you being a part of her legal team, got a chance to see things for yourself and was able to come back to me and give me your perspective as well. So thank you, bro. I appreciate you calling in.
No problem. Good luck with the show. You take care.
No doubt, man. One. Now back to Lloyd.
Right, back to me, because I ain't about to apologize about nothing.
You better apologize before I smoke your ass.
Man, what you gonna smoke? What, a joint?
Hey, listen, but check this out. I feel like we
electronic cigarettes. That's what you smoking?
What do you feel like we should do in regards to low income housing? What do you think? What is the first 5 things that we should do? Me personally, I think mitigating childbirth and dealing with the children that we have already. I think that to me is a plus. It's a win. You
see, the problem that you're overlooking is you keep looking at the problem as being poor people, and it's not. The problem is that the rich people are exploiting the poor. Our society is set up so that many support the few. So every rich person is making loads of money off of poor people, the people at the bottom. The people at the bottom are there for a reason. If they wanted to solve poverty, they would. Poverty is there for a reason. You know why? What's going to make you do one of these jobs that nobody wants to do if you're not in a financial position where you desperately have to do it? You keep looking at everything the wrong way. Poor people are here for a reason. They're here to service the rich people. That's what they're here for.
Okay, so my thing about it is we talk about self-responsibility. We talk about the things that we do not need, right, in our lives. We don't need other people telling us how to live because we can police ourselves. We can handle ourselves. Cool. If that's the case, then that means, and I say lower income, I hate to make it just black people, because here's the thing. If you live in a trailer park or you live in an Hispanic community where it's considered to be low income, that's what I'm trying to encompass. I'm trying to make the conversation a bit bigger. So I'm saying low income. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at, say, okay, if we decrease how many children we're having and increase our focus on community activity in regards to economics, community activity in regards to actually teaching children what they need to do in regards to being successful. We're not teaching you how to be employees. We're teaching you how to be employers. We're teaching you how to be entrepreneurs. And my thing about it is that focus is better maintained or built upon when you don't have multiple kids coming behind the situation. You deal with the kids that you already have. That's why I said a lot of people don't have a mandate. They don't have anyone to say, stop. Think about what the fuck you're doing. There's no consequences. There's nothing but reproduction. And like Crystal was saying, why are we fucking and doing all of this other shit, but we don't have all of the other stuff? I don't have a home for a baby to be in, but I'm bringing a baby. I don't have a job, but I'm bringing a baby.
Because people have been fucking since before there were homes.
I got you, but listen,
You
at what point in time do we say, let's look at this shit in a different light?
It don't trump nature, though. It don't trump nature. None of those things you talk about going to trump nature ever. Like we got to quit fucking poverty shaming. Like that's what we're doing. Like why are you not looking at what the rich people are doing to contribute to these situations?
I'm not worried about the rich people.
See, you poor about the poor people. Exactly the point.
I don't. Okay.
No, you poor shaming.
I'm not. I can't tell you how rich people live. I can tell you how poor people live. I can tell you how rich people wake up with no lights, with no food, to have hand-me-down clothes, to go to the goddamn Salvation Army to get clothes. I can tell you that. So if you come from that, you can talk about that. You can talk about improvements on experience. You understand what I'm saying? I can't tell you about rich people because I don't have those problems. But I can tell you about the problems I did have, and I know damn well when you say you have a community center full of fucking kids and parents are nowhere around, or the parents are damn near within a 10-year gap of you, we all kids. We all try to figure out how to fucking do it. So my thing right now is, how do we mandate and put support in the communities that need it? That's what this conversation about, bro.
I mean, if these type of mandates was a requirement to have kids, most of us wouldn't have existed, including maybe many of our parents, grandparents, all those things. Like, y'all keep one of these utopian type of ideas, and we got to deal with the reality. The reality of it's nothing that's ever going to be ideal. And as long as there are situations where the rich can exploit the poor, there's always going to be poor, because those poor people are necessary, and the poor people want the same rights as rich people. They just don't have necessarily the same financial. Poor people
are not necessary. That's bullshit.
They are.
Poor people. No.
They are.
Poor people are not necessary. What's necessary What's necessary is cheap labor. Poor people are not necessary. We don't need poor people.
Who gonna do cheap labor other than poor people? Who gonna do cheap labor other than poor people?
Bro,
Are you?
That don't mean cheap labor. Bro, listen to me. You can be a middle-class citizen and do cheap labor. You don't necessarily need to be a poor person. We don't need poor people. We need people willing to do cheap labor. You can be a middle-class citizen and do cheap labor.
Not in this country.
Come on, bro.
In order for there to be middle class people doing cheap labor, there has to be a significantly lower cost of living. Because the issue, that's part of the issue when they keep talking about raising the minimum wage. The issue is not raising the minimum wage, because that's going to raise the cost of living. We need to have a lower cost of living. Our cost of living is way too high right now, and it keeps going up and up and up. Mm-hmm. That's why there is poor. Like, sure, I'm making 6 figures and still was struggling to make it. No kids. So I could just imagine what people was doing, what people were doing, making significantly less money. You know what I mean? So the problem is, stuff costs way too fucking much. We mad at people for having kids. We should be mad at the people that keep making this cost of everything so fucking high.
I think that instead of having all of this backlash when a child is born and doing all the rigmarole through the child support system, that we can mitigate some shit before that child even comes to this world and say, are these two individuals ready to be parents? And I think that there is a way to outline. That's just like you coming for an interview, right? Do you have a certain education level? Do you have a certain, you know what I'm saying? Were you a criminal, et cetera? Like there are certain things that we can put in place that say, yes, these people are ready. You don't have to be rich, but at least you got a job. At least you're not pending a case where you could motherfucking be gone for the next 25 years. There are certain things that we can look at that say these people are ready to have a kid. And I'm not saying rich people. I'm saying that we start this shit in a lower income thing. What it does is mitigates how many children are being reproduced inside a generational curse.
A generational curse?
A generational curse. That means my mother had me at a certain age, and we're now in this projects. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get somebody else pregnant at the same age, and the shit's going to repeat itself. How do you break that cycle?
You know what the generational curse is?
Education and opportunity. And
the generational curse was slavery. That's what started from the beginning.
Bro, we're making. See, the thing about it is,
we ain't making it. That's what started.
We can continue to blame white people and push white people into the narrative. I'm taking them out. I'm saying us. I'm saying.
Oh, so you're giving them a pass. You let them off the hook. You're letting them off the hook.
I'm not. No.
You're definitely letting them off the hook.
This conversation. Listen, if there was a political candidate right now that says I'm going to stop funding people who have children out of wedlock, and I'm going to force adults to be adults, that don't got nothing to do with white people. That got something to do with you as an individual. Whether you gotta look at Puerto Rican,
a lot of these unplanned children. They're the same children that's unplanned. They're the same ones that come up in poverty. They end up. Some of those are the same ones that end up changing the world. We're reducing. We're shortchanging our world from people who will make major differences. Like, for example, LeBron James would have never been here. And LeBron James, yeah, he's a great basketball player, but on top of that, he's done a lot of great things for his community too. Create a lot of opportunities.
We're banking people.
We're not. It's not banking. These are things that happen.
No, we're putting our money on the people that says I came from low poverty environments, and I was a single parent child, but I made it. Look at me. We're not saying that. Guess what? Just because we mitigate the LeBron James, like we say, okay, hey, LeBron James was one of those kids that was born to parents that we didn't feel like should have kids. You think that LeBron James wouldn't have been replaced by someone else? You think that would have never happened? The Michael Jordans and Kobe Bryants, et cetera.
Those are like
always going to be someone who rises to the occasion.
Those are once generational type of people. They're not that common. They were that common. They wouldn't have made it the status that they made it. They're not common. These are once every generational type of people.
You're looking for one. Okay, great point. These are once generational type people. That's what you just said. I want to make sure I got you right. Cool.
Once every generation.
Great point. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand what I'm about to do with this man, right? Check this out.
Nothing.
I'm about to, I've been fucking you up. Let me continue. This is the thing. I'm not talking about one person that comes along in a generation. I'm talking about creating a generation that is now successful because we decided as people, as human beings, to say, we're taking back our rights. We're doing the things that we need to do to promote everybody in this generation, not just a one-time basketball star, a one-time football star. We don't need celebrities. We need parents. We need role models. We need people inside the community for the community, not to leave the community and say, oh, well, that was just a one-time person that came along this generation and he was successful. Well, kudos to him. I'm talking about everybody that's alive now, making them successful, giving them mansions and opportunity, not just one. I'm talking about everybody.
Okay, my question is, where does this world exist? Is there a place that you can model this off of? Or is this just out of your imagination? Like, where do these people exist?
We're talking. Listen, I'm not saying it exists. I'm saying.
So it don't exist. So you're everything off of no.
I asked.
Forget this fantasy world. I asked you this question for a reason.
The premise of this fucking conversation was me asking. What if a political candidate right now came out and says, we're stopping all government assistance when it comes to having children out of wedlock? Will that mitigate a lot of problems for low income communities? No, it would. I know I'm not gonna get no help.
Well, well.
I know. Hold on.
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. It's gonna increase crime,
bro. When I say mitigate, the government is not giving you any support for that child, right. and you're not gonna be allowed to have that child. You're not going to be allowed to have that child.
How are they going to stop you? How are they going to stop you from having kids?
What do you mean, how they going to stop you? Where you going to have a kid at? Where you going to have a kid at?
So people you got
to go get goddamn prenatal pills and doctor visits and all the other shit. Let me read some of these comments. LeBron is a lot of kids that do not make it out of the ghetto. They can't even read and write. There are dropouts of school having to sell drugs because the government don't give him. Man, goddamn, bro. You know, why you come on my show with the damn phone?
Somebody keep calling me over and over and over.
Probation officer,
No.
pick up your phone and tell your probation officer you want tough love.
You funny, but no, you gotta look like say you know. There's a lot of things that people are overlooking. Like y'all keep making like the problems is based on poor people and like I said, you're basically poor shaming. And forget this stuff that Candace Renee saying, because she's on the same stuff. Like we understand there's a lot of problem with communities involving poor people, but the way that you guys are looking to go about it isn't what's going to solve it. That's not what's going to solve it. If you want to do anything, instead of putting restrictions on people, you got to create opportunities for people, not restrictions.
The opportunities are there because you got to look at this. I'm saying not only a mandate that governs the fact that we have a mandate that outlines these are the general things that you need to have in order to move forward with a pregnancy. If you do not have these things or whatever it be, you are not allowed to have a kid, period. That's for anybody. That's anybody. So now, if you strung out on drugs or you have any type of anything going on that would hinder a child's development, you understand what I'm saying? We want you to get help for whatever your situation is, or we want you to be in a better situation before you bring a child forward. It has to be someone there that stands in the gap that says, stop. Think about what the fuck you doing.
So my question is, so where is the money going to come from to fund these programs that's going to police everybody in this manner?
Bro,
we're already talking about defunding the
all
police.
These clinics. Instead of having clinics that says, okay, I'm giving out prenatal care, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these free clinics. My thing about it is it would simply be a social worker or someone who sits inside one of these clinics and says, okay, cool, you're pregnant, great, come on through. And they sit down and say, okay, hey, let's look at your financial status. Let's look at, your future and your goals. You got 15-year-olds that don't know none of that shit. So why are you having a kid? Why the fuck are you having a kid? So we can't mandate and we can't say, you know what, let's help you make the right decision. Some people are having babies out of fear. They're having babies because they feel like they're so in love, but they don't get the bigger picture. If you are not around to give a person a bigger picture, then they may not understand it. They may not understand the synopsis of which they are looking at. So I'm saying if we had something in the goddamn play to say, look at the bigger picture and let us break this thing down for you. Right now at 15, 16, 17 years old, you should be worried about your future. You're a child. You should be able to live out your teenage years and continue to develop. And these are the things that you can do. And yes, there should be things in place that should help that child continue to develop or whatever. But it's so difficult. You talk about LeBron James. Let's talk about them women out there. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to all those single parents that's actually doing it by themselves and have to work several jobs. I'm talking about mitigating that. Someone saying, hey, listen, if you're not in a financial state to have children, maybe you shouldn't have them. I know it's tough, but I think
you gotta look at those. A lot of those same women are the same ones who be like, they feel like their kids is what keep them sane, because living in this world is still stressful, whether or not you have kids in it or not. But having people in your life that you feel like dependent on, having someone that you're actually building something for, that's basically inspiring you, also contributes to that situation. There's a lot of people who feel like they have nothing to live for under these conditions as well. So what do you do about them? Like it's a balance, yo. And like we keep trying to take out all these things out of a situation without understanding what all the drawbacks are going to be. For every action, there's an equal reaction, right? And those reactions are not stuff that you're ready for, because the world that you're trying to create, you've never seen it exist before. So you don't even know what the unintended consequences are going to be. Because what you're still doing in your mind, you feel like the problem is poor people.
No, motherfucker.
You might as well be Republican.
That's not what I said. And I might as well not be nothing. I might as well be
Republican.
Independent fucking thinker. You know what I'm saying? An educated black man. But the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at a situation where we say we have children being born out of wedlock, right? Those children being born out of wedlock, 9 times out of 10, to young people who are undeveloped themselves, don't have the educational premise or the economic understanding to actually be successful. That's why you have people saying, man, oh man, I wish I could leave this area, this crime infested, this drug infested area, but I can't because I don't know how. So why not say, let's put something in place and say, let's mitigate some of these children and put you on the path to success. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have a problem,
we're just now coming up to a point where most of the public is educated. That wasn't always the case, and the reason why most of the public is educated is because these companies needed people to groom workers. That's what the school system is there for. That's why education is so mass. We keep. But basically, what you keep saying is like we can keep doing stuff that's going to feed into the mass plan, huh? What am I talking about?
What the fuck are you talking?
People wasn't always educated.
Public schools promote employees. They don't promote.
Right.
Right. So what the fuck are you talking about?
How you feel like the school system got in place? You know why they started the school system?
What the fuck does this got to do with government assistance?
Because it all plays a part in it. It all plays a part in it.
I'm gonna give you a 2 minute shine on me. Come on, teach me something. Come on.
Okay, the reason why the school system got put in place is because these companies, they needed workers and people wasn't educated enough for these positions that they needed them to work. So they implemented the school systems, and the school systems was meant to groom workers. That's why they don't teach you how to manage money. That's why they don't teach you how to start your own business, because it's not designed for that. It's designed to help groom workers. So it's all part of the industrialization. When you're saying, when you're talking about, these people don't have the proper education, that's been a life requirement. That's only been a life requirement for maybe 100 or so years, maybe a century. Before that, the general public wasn't all educated. Most of the general public wasn't literate. Like all these things that we're putting in, that are now requirements to live were unheard of requirements back in the day. And we're not even talking about too far back in the day. We're talking about maybe a little bit over 100 years, if that much. So now we've adopted these mindsets that the issue is uneducated people. The issue is the poor people. The issue is the people that's having these kids that can't afford it because we live in a natural system that causes people to have to do all these things that they were like naturally wasn't equipped for. Some people have adapted to society in the way it is. There's people, but those people are the few. That's why you look at when you look at as far as the discrepancy between rich and poor people, it's like 1% that have a majority of the money, the rest don't. The 1% is the one that have the majority of the wealth, right? Those are the wealthy people, and those people, excuse me, and those people don't have the same needs as the people that's below them. Why do you think that is? That's by design, so that the many can support the few.
You feel like you got your rocks off? You good?
What rocks? This is just what it is.
Okay, so check this out. So I gave you 2 minutes of fame. Check this out. I feel like this. I feel like if we don't challenge our communities to think outside the box, to think of what ways we can do or things we could do to mitigate our issues without begging and asking for help, then we're always going to be,
Great point. No, great point. As far as the educated people.
Good point. I know it's a good point. I'm not talking about you. Can I get my 2 minutes?
I'm not even talking about you.
Let me get my 2 minutes. We need to stop asking people to come in and help us. And if we're going to stand there and be boastful and say, we don't need police, we don't need this, we don't need that. Okay, cool. At what point in time do we get to the action? At what point in time? And I think we both were talking about elected officials or whatever case may be. I think D was even saying, Daniel was talking about, it's not just about the presidency. You got to talk about the people that you vote in locally. And that's what I'm asking you right now. And I'm proposing this to people with, I think they got common sense, right? I feel that if we put people in place that say, you know what, we're going to stop being there for you when you're having kids out of wedlock, that's going to force people to say, damn, I now have to be responsible for these children myself. It's a lot of people that says, I'm a single parent household. But the fact of the matter, you're getting checks every week. You're getting checks every month. Fuck it. You get food. You get a clothing voucher. You're getting all these things every month. And if for some people who are not even using the money for their kids, that's going out and doing other things with it. I'm trying to get past all the bullshit. and get
But
down
that's
to the rhetoric of actually doing something in regards to action. So we had a political candidate that says, I'm going to stop supporting or giving support out for people that's having children out of wedlock. Will that force people in lower communities to say, you know what, let me think about my actions. Let me mandate a futuristic thought process. So that's what I'm saying.
but I mean,
That's
but
my
part of that,
fucking narrative.
well, part of that is this, like when somebody was talking about, it's a many generations of education. That's part of the issue too. Right now, we're at the most educated point, in history that we ever been. We got plenty of people who have degrees, but those people with degrees still can't find jobs, still can't find adequate employment, still don't make enough income to make ends meet. So, it's so many different. Like even the education aspect doesn't solve the problem. And then on top of those people who are getting education, they're swamped in student loan debt. People who have great jobs are still working to get out of student loan situations from, because the whole system is predatory. Even when it gets to the point of you getting education, that part is predatory. They don't teach those kids how to manage that debt, what to do about it. A lot of those people, especially when you're dealing with people who come from poor situations, and they didn't come from money. They're thinking that this job that this degree is going to open up all these doors to allow them to have these opportunities that they really aren't getting, despite them having this education.
When I talk about education, are you thinking institutional knowledge? Is that what you feel like I'm saying? Because that means I need to clarify. Okay, cool.
Typically, when people mention education, that's
institutional knowledge. You can have a degree and be dumb as hell when it comes to common sense. I'm talking about common sense. Common sense is
common sense, though.
Okay. Common sense to know that, if I'm in a drug infested area, what am I doing to get my ass out of this? Let me formalize a real thought process. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about motherfuckers who've been in a gang infested neighborhood who say, I can't go down this street, but I can go down the other street between 3 and 5 and I won't have no motherfucking problems. That's common sense. That's a thought process. So we take that thought process and say, instead of applying that to gang violence, applying that to more kids, let's apply that to motherfucking better education that's outside the area or the community that we was raised in, that actually provocates to us to push to actually being business owners, to actually being successful family members, to being in positive relationships, to understanding how communication flows. So every time we talk to someone, it's not being so angry and aggressive. It's actually articulating a point. This is the reason that Candace Owens exists, to show, okay, hey, when white people look at her, she's so articulate, she's so well spoken. But do you know how many other black people out there that don't agree with her, that's so articulate and so well spoken? We don't give them the platforms to speak, or do we have the platforms developed?
But the question, though, even with that, when you talk about even education outside of the institutional or the formal education, so where are the people going to get this education? Where are they going to get this knowledge from?
The people inside the community. The people inside the community. When people say it takes a village, that means it takes a contribution from everybody within that community, within that circle, within that organization to provide knowledge. So if there's something, let's say Lloyd, he's the economic man, he's the money man, right? Let's say Mario, let's say Mario, he's the business strategy man, right? Let's say Crystal Renee, she's the person that can market everything. So what I'm saying is we need to put ourselves in those type of positions. So we need to clean up our community and provide our community with the things that it lacks. We cannot provide our community with things it lacks if we're steadily pulling more responsibility into it, such as raising kids. Taking care of kids now becomes the priority. And here's the thing, whether we do it or not, some people think taking care of kids is, here's your PlayStation, here's your Jordans, here's some type of decent bed to sleep on. You good? I'm a parent. Continue.
Nope. Because those people that's in the community is too busy working these jobs and working all these hours to be able to afford to qualify to have children. So they don't got time to pass it on to the community.
If you don't think there was a mandate on having children, there was a reasonable mandate that came from average Americans that said, you know what? I think if you're going to have children, you need to have these 5 key things. I bet you right now with these 37, Well, I see 14 over here. I see another 30 something over here. But the fact of the matter is, I'm saying if we came up with 5 reasonable things that everybody needs to have in regards to having children, do's and don'ts. Like you cannot have this and have kids, but you need to have this. And we say these 10 things. This is our top 10. And we say, okay, we push this as a bill to be passed in Congress and say this is what everybody needs to have. Period. You don't think that would mitigate a lot of children being born into fucked up situations?
It's just hilarious that so many people have a problem with freedom. It's like everything, this country champions freedom, but they don't really believe in it because everybody has an issue with people operating within freedom in ways that they don't agree with. Ways that
freedom to bust your legs open, freedom to bust a nut.
That's part of freedom. All of this is part of, just like freedom of speech.
So you keep your freedom. Hold on, keep your freedom, but now the government's not giving you no assistance. Now the government's not giving you no assistance.
I'm not pro government assistance, but government assistance is there for a reason as well. It's suiting a purpose.
If you it's not what you think. Responsibility to say I need to slow down having kids, but you're expecting the government to be there to bail you out. That's bullshit, and that's the biggest slavery there is. That's the biggest slavery there is. Relying on the government to bail you out because you can't stop fucking. Don't play with me, boy.
What you mean? People been fucking like this forever. This ain't brand new. People been fucking like that forever. More people was fucking like that forever before we started having all these needs. Look at do you ever trace your family tree? How big families were back then? Versus how they are now.
Tracing my family tree now, yeah.
And families was big, right? Families were big as fuck. They wasn't rich. But they have big ass families, right? Now all of a sudden they have a big family. It's a requirement to be rich. When rich people, they don't have big families.
See, that's what I'm saying. When you switch the narrative up, motherfucker, use the words that are
I'm giving you the reality. Your mouth isn't speaking enough. Your mouth is coming from a very narrow perspective. I'm giving you the bigger picture. You're talking from a very narrow perspective, a self-serving perspective.
You think you're giving me a bigger picture because you can't understand the picture that's being given to you. So you have to change the narrative. Use what I said.
Your picture only works for you.
It doesn't.
It does.
Okay.
It only works for you.
Check this out. The fact of the matter is something needs to be done to mitigate the problems that we are having in low-income communities. What would you suggest happen? What would you suggest?
I definitely am for educating people, but not in the formal education way. I mean, definitely people have to learn how to learn skills, learn trades, learn ways to be able to earn a living for sure, but not necessarily in a way that, not in the way in which it's been done with public education for grooming workers for these companies that are pretty much exploiting people. Like these larger corporations are exploiting people. And that's part of the issue too. When you're looking at what people are doing for damn near minimum wage, or you're looking at the fast food workers who feel like they deserve $15 an hour when there's people with jobs that require more qualifications that are not making $15 an hour. So when you're dealing with stuff like that, because like I said, the biggest problem is the cost of living. It's not so much that that people are not making enough money. Well, technically it is, but the issue is if we had a lower cost of living where people can survive off of more, that would create more opportunities. This is like, for example, my grandfather was a musician. He never had a real job his entire life. He made like $100 a week, but at that time you can survive off of that. You can survive off of $100. He had a house, a car, had 5 kids. My grandmother never worked, but $100 a week. Now you can't even survive off $100 a day. That's part of where the problem is our expenses are crazy.
So I don't feel like, what's up, King? I don't feel like I'm gonna pull you in 1 second, King. I don't feel like it's just about cost of living, man. I believe it's an attitude adjustment. I believe it's a narrative where you say we are giving you responsibility that you already know you have, but we are forcing you now to stand in that responsibility. We're forcing you to adult up. We're forcing you to have the tough conversation by saying, these are your fucking kids. Take care of your own fucking kids. If it's about being badass and bossing up, all the little fucking key narratives and the cliches people say. Now we're saying we're letting you foot the bill. I can guarantee when you tell a motherfucker you gotta foot the bill, that's gonna slow down. That's gonna slow down on some strokes.
And I
That's
agree
gonna
with
slow
you.
down on some strokes. Talk to
I
me.
agree with you on the attitude adjustment. The issue is though is that everyone feels like everyone else has to has an attitude adjustment instead of us adjusting our own attitudes. You know, what how is your attitude going to adjust to fit the situation? You're looking at you know the attitude, like you got the problem for everyone else. How would you improving your attitude help fix the situation for yourself? And I'm not here to mandate anything to you, just an idea like what do you feel like you could do that would make this situation better, you know,
Well, first of all,
from your mindset.
no, oh, great, okay, good.
Self
First of all,
accountability, right?
what I need to do is I need to make sure that my children understand that, first of all, if you're sleeping with someone, make sure that motherfucker is who you want to be with. Make sure you pass the conversation to them in regards to saying, listen, if I get pregnant, what's the next step? You know what I'm saying? And vet them. We need to learn how to vet people. It's just like an interview. You know, sex should be like an interview, unless it's just a one night stand. But even those people, put yourself around winners. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about money. It's not about this. It's about actually being there for that motherfucking child. At least know enough about the other person to say, you know what? If I do get pregnant, they're going to be around. You can't get pregnant with Raekwon and all he want to do is play PlayStation all day and a wife beater and dirty ass boots. Like it's a fucking difference. Learn how to vet people better. And that's what we need to do. That's how we pick business partners. That's how we pick motherfucking goddamn what club we want to go to, what restaurant. We got to do our research. And I don't think we understand how to do research. So that's another form of education that we need to give our children. So I ain't saying that mine gonna be super, super good, but I'm gonna say, goddamn it, between me and the mothers, we gonna do the best that we can. Okay,
I mean,
it's not about mass producing them with this motherfucker.
Even in situations where people actually make it to marriage, the divorce rate is still 50%, and that's across all demographics. The divorce rate is still 50%. So no matter how much you call yourself vetting somebody, you think you know someone, you know, at the end of the day, you still could be wrong, and a lot more people are being wrong
I didn't
because
say
we
shit
have
about marriage.
What?
I said having sex with someone.
Right, but I mean,
Unless it's
part
a
of it,
one night stand,
but part of it,
multiple times on multiple levels, it's more than a one night stand. So that means if you're sleeping with this person multiple times, make sure that you take the time to get to know everything that you can about that person. Ask the hard questions. Have the tough conversations. Will it work all the time? It won't.
No,
But the fact of the matter,
I
a
use
lot of
marriage.
people. Stop, motherfucker. A lot of people say,
example.
I didn't know who I was dealing with because they didn't take the time to vet the person. So when you listen to some shit like this, it says, well, maybe you should take the time to get to know the motherfucker. God damn it, we doing our job. Talk to me.
But-
King, come on, King. Say something, King.
You gotta look at the responses though. Like a lot of times when you tell people these exact same things, you know, they feel like, you know, they were doing what they said, oh, well, this person would pretended to be something that they wasn't up until a certain point. Even like I said, even in situations where it's marriage, I was using marriage as an example. I'm not saying that marriage was what you were talking about, but marriage is an example of a form of a long-term relationship that people seek, right? Usually people look at marriage as being stability, right? Once you get married, they look at that situation as going to be a situation that's going to be long-term. They have a plan that they're going to have a long-term situation with this person that they married. And a lot of those times, there's a lot of follow-up from that. I know plenty of people who got married and it was the worst thing in their life. And on top of it, how much money they had to pay to get rid of that person. I would have told them, like, I know somebody who paid $150,000 to divorce their husband. And I was like, if I pay $150,000 to get rid of somebody, they ain't allowed to be a problem no more. Right? But they still got to deal with this person because they got kids together. Right? So it's too many ways, you know, I think a lot of it is this. You know, many of us did grow up in situations where we didn't see a lot of positive relationships, right? And so we don't know what it takes to have a positive relationship. What we learn about relationships comes from movies, come from songs, you know, maybe our friends, you know, but we definitely grew up in a situation where we didn't see a lot of positive relationships. And I believe that's part of it. But the question is, you know, how do we fix that? How do we fix the dynamic between men and women so that, you know, we have a better understanding of each other and are better able to coexist? You know, those things happen too. Just like, you know, when you look at family structure, like one thing I mentioned about was how we prey on our women. And I'm talking about like most of the hurt that Black women have endured has come at the hands of Black men. in one shape or form. I'm not saying, oh, the problem is all black men, but the issue is when you look at from a black woman's perspective, if all of their hurt have occurred at the hand of a black man in some form, whether it was an uncle that tried to molest them when they were young or was molesting them, or stepfather, and then when they became teenager, every dude that they encountered was trying to have sex with them in some type of way. You know, they had to learn to be guarded. So now there's an issue of either they're too guarded, now they a B. If they not guarded enough, now they a hoe. And then, you know, then finally they let their guards down with somebody. They get them getting their heart broken because they think they know this person. They think they in love. And then, you know, then you got the situation where they left us raise our children on our own. And so, I mean, if anything, there's a lot of accountability that had to happen from a man perspective. Like, men in general should not be leaving these women to raise our kids on their own. That's definitely something. Now, how do you mandate that? They call themselves trying to do it with child support. That ain't work. You know, as far as restricting people, you know, as far as their qualification to have kids, let's say they do meet all the qualifications to have kids, then something happened after the fact. Because not everybody ends up having kids as an ineligible bachelor or ineligible people. Even people who were making decent money, they still end up divorcing, still having similar problems. Sometimes you can fall off, go broke. It's so many different things. Like, situations are not always who a person is. Situations are temporary. Mm-hmm. It's about character. How do you manage? How do you effectively manage character, though? How do you effectively manage character? And we knew that answer, then most of our problems would have been solved.
Let me let King up in here, man. King, what's going on, brother? Talk to us.
Hey, what's up, John? What's up? Now, I want to address the part about the government assistance. Now, the issue with this is that, first of all, it's going to be impossible for the government to try to mandate anyone to prevent them from becoming pregnant or having sex or anything like that. It's impossible for them to do that. But however, the government do have programs that are available for them. Now, the problem with that, most people, what they do, they'll take advantage of the program. They'll do just about the bare minimum to satisfy the requirement of the program. And that's the issue that we're going to deal with as social workers, that we help people come in and they just do the bare minimum just so they can get the certain benefits and stuff. That's why also the government end up partnering with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the same thing, where they have like certain mandates that you have to do in order to have the service, like the government assistance as well. You have to do certain things to keep having to do. They do the minimum to keep the assistance. It's cases where it's people who actually will have children purposely just so they can stay on government assistance. That's what they do. That's what their mentality is at. You know what I'm saying? And so it's hard for the government to mandate that. You know what I'm saying? Based on people's behavior. Period. You know what I'm saying? If they're going to do it, then that's what they're going to do. The only way the government could stop that is by, the government have different task force team where they go out and do a wellness check, where they actually check to see that the household is really saying what they're saying when they on the open. You know what I'm saying? They do that, but other than that, there ain't much more the government can do.
No doubt. I mean, I think that this conversation is definitely needed. Of course, we know that it's going to take a lot of time and effort in order to complete.
Here's a question too,
something like that.
Because I keep seeing these ignorant ass comments in the posts and stuff like that. Like, when you look at where taxes are really going, like a majority of your taxes is not going to support somebody that's on government assistance. More of your taxes is going to support politicians and also military and things of that sort. Very, very small percentage of your taxes actually going to help somebody with food stamps or help somebody with Section 8. Like, if you actually break it down. So, but the problem is like I said, you guys keep following this narrative where y'all want to blame poor people. You still want a poverty badge. And the issue is that's not where your money is going. Your money is is being wasted in a variety of ways. I would much rather see my money actually go towards actually feeding and housing somebody than a lot of other ways in which the government wastes your money. But
that's bullshit.
It's really bullshit to you.
That's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you
So
why.
go
Because
kill
he
oil.
just hold on. King just said there are people that are abusing the system. So to have
Those
a
are not
little
majority of
hold
the
on, let
people.
me get my fucking thought
Those are
out,
the majority of
brother.
the people.
Let me get my thought out, brother. Listen, he just stated,
Watch your tone though.
and I feel like
Bro, bring your tone down. I'm not your
listen,
kid.
fuck you, and you get off my show.
So
Hey, listen, this tough love, asshole. Listen,
I
listen.
bet.
He just said that there are people that are abusing the system, right?
There's people abusing
Are
every
you
system.
telling me? Are you telling me that you would rather give them money and not hold them responsible?
Hold up. Because listen, that's another narrative. We're making it sound like that the people who are actually abusing the system are in the majority. That's a minority. There are people who are not. There's plenty of people who are not abusing the system, but those people are being overshadowed or feel like they should get their stuff taken. People feel like stuff should be taken away from them because of the people who are abusing the system. And there's people who are getting assistance, who are working jobs. They are doing everything they can to make it, and the assistance helps them doing what they do. I'm not saying that those people should be relying on assistance, but on the same note, when we try to make it seem like the majority of the people are the people taking advantage, those are the people that get all the attention. Because another thing too, a lot of people who are on assistance, they don't want to tell nobody. They're not letting people know that they're on assistance. But when you look at the actual statistics, most of those people are not people that's abusing it. So we gotta quit painting that broad brush. I'm not saying there are not people that exist, but also too, you gotta look at the politicians, the ones who are, when you look at them, they're abusing the system too. They're getting paid. No. If we're going to talk about self-love and accountability, those are people that's also getting our tax dollars, right? We're supporting them completely. We're supporting them completely. Politicians, yeah. How they getting paid? Our tax dollars, right? Our tax dollars, right? Hold them accountable for a lot of bullshit that they're doing. They're the ones creating these policies, right? Why are we holding them accountable? We're worried about the people at the bottom, the people making the decisions, that's putting everything in place. We're like, oh, they get a pass because in our minds, we have more. Hold on. In our minds, they're not leeches because they have an official position, but they're being supported just as much off our tax dollars as the people at the bottom.
Yeah, we didn't call nobody no leeches, but we have more in common. We have more in common with people that we talk about from the bottom than we do at the top. You see what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, I feel like we keep on using this narrative of let's talk about everything else other than taking self-responsibility. And that's my issue. Let's put the onus on everybody else versus us that live in a community, that's from the community, that know about the community, that have a reach back or a connection right now to these communities. Let's talk about us not taking responsibility for ourselves and making a change. We're relying on politicians. We're relying on the police. We're relying on talking about slavery. We're relying on saying we're pro-black, but we ain't relying on nobody within the community to say, let's stop having all the fuck shit and do some positive shit. That's the problem.
No, here's the problem too. No, here's the problem too. Like Crystal Renee is upset because she don't have no kids, and she pay all this money in taxes, and she feel like she's paying more taxes than a person with 5 kids. When really the funny part that you don't realize is you're paying less taxes than Donald Trump, right? And the reason why you're paying more taxes than all those people is because you're ignorant. You don't know how to get out of paying those taxes. She's not on this panel. Ignorant. She's not on the panel to defend herself, bro. So how would she be ignorant? I'm telling her, you're ignorant because you don't know how to get out of paying those taxes. See, people like Donald Trump, they have people in their place that allows them to avoid paying taxes. So if your issue is the amount of taxes you're paying, how about you educate yourself more on how you can get out, how you can get by without paying all these taxes that you're complaining about paying about, as you feel like you're supporting all these people. You could get out of that almost damn near completely if you know what you're doing.
Unless hold on, this is the thing that I first of all, I don't like when people talk and people can't defend themselves, right? She ain't on the panel. That's one. 2, the fact of the matter is, if you have the knowledge, then motherfuckers say, hey, listen, since you don't know X, Y, and Z, I'm going to reach out to you and give you that knowledge. The problem is when you hold shit in and you be like, haha, you don't know this. That don't make you empowered and it don't make you fucking better. It makes you a motherfucking part of the problem.
I'm not saying it from a standpoint.
You can't call a lady ignorant if you ain't gonna teach.
It is ignorant. This is not about that. This is not about how to avoid taxes.
What is ignorance? What is ignorance? What is ignorance?
I'm not. Listen, I'm not.
What is ignorance?
I'm not being any worse off than what she's doing when she's blaming the people when she's in there get upset or have this type of.
I don't think nobody's upset. I don't think we're gonna stop the name calling.
She said she was upset.
She can't talk for herself.
I didn't call her a name.
You call her ignorant.
I said ignorant is not a name calling. It's just like anybody could be ignorant. Ignorant means you lack knowledge.
Exactly. So say that. Ignorant is used as an insult. You can be ignorant. You can be ignorant towards a subject, towards knowledge about something. But the fact of the matter is how you use it. It's the context you use it in. Don't English me, motherfucker. We can do this all day. It's the word. If I say you an ignorant motherfucker versus you lack knowledge about some things, it's different. It's how you use it. You see what I'm saying?
But it's still what it is. Like what the actual definition of the word is means to lack knowledge. Now, whatever context or tone you want to add to it because of your experience of hearing the word is a whole other thing. But the truth of the matter is just like she's been conditioned to believe that her problem is the people who she feel like her tax dollars are supporting when that's not true. Her problem is the government taking all this money from her, and she got to figure out she has to educate herself on how to pay less taxes. There are things that she can do to pay significantly less taxes than what she's paying if that's what her frustration is. But to me, that's a cop out. That's what she used as a justification to feel because she has some type of animosity or some type of resentment towards the people who she feel like isn't contributing as much as she is because she's comparing what she's doing to other people. But that's part of the problem.
Isn't that the upper class of America? They say that we have lazy people on our dime. I
have a problem with that too.
And this is the reason I proposed the question that says no more government assistance. It's the people who feel like I contribute. I am a taxpayer. I am a fucking person who contributes to this country. And we have people that are fucking sleeping around on my dime, that are reproducing kids on my dime, living in Section 8 housing and partying all day, smoking weed and we have that on my dime. So it's not just her. It's a lot of people who's trying to figure out how the fuck I ain't got to pay these taxes. Why the fuck do I got to pay for a lazy motherfucker?
Right. But they're not paying for a lazy motherfucker. Trump is a lazy motherfucker then too, right? Because he's not paying no taxes. Here's the thing: one of the first steps of getting out of paying taxes is starting a corporation. Putting yourself, starting a business so that you can start to write off a lot of these expenses that you're using. First and second, one of the things that we kind of are ignorant about is that we want to get everything put in our name. When the truth of the matter is, you don't want nothing in your name. That's what you started LLC for. That's what you start all these other legal entities for, and so that you can assign liability to those things. They get treated like legal. They're almost like legal people, right? They get treated just as good as people, and so. Start to establish those things, and you start to learn how the art of write-offs, the art of find out how you get certain breaks for certain things, learning how to give people or give money and get that as a tax credit. No, all the rich people, what they're doing is they're manipulating the tax laws. And they're getting out of paying. Like, the issue is you would have to pay less taxes if companies like Apple was paying more taxes. All these companies that's getting out of paying taxes, they're the ones they're the reason why your tax burden is so high. We're blaming it on the people who ain't contributing to the tax system when it's so like the problem is so multifaceted. Quit poverty shaming.
I think we're under this. Okay. You're ignorant because you're under this impression that we're blaming poor people for being.
I'm not under the impression that's what you're doing.
No. I'm not blaming poor people for being poor. I'm suggesting.
You're saying there's a problem.
Actually, I'm saying factually.
Poor people are the problem is what you're saying.
I'm saying factually. What's up, Ricky? I'm saying factually. I believe that we have people that are in low-income situations that are continuously making poor decisions because they're going to be backed by the government to say you don't have to take responsibility for your actions. Therefore,
like the banks?
Therefore, people feel like I don't have to pay
We
your
we
way because you're going to be lazy.
we
That's why
bailed
I
out
say
we
that.
bailed out banks with billions of dollars. What about the
I ain't
banks? They're
talking about
making
banks.
no, no,
I
no.
ain't talking.
What
I'm
do you
talking
mean?
about. I'm
That's
talking
where
about
your
the hood.
taxes went,
I'm talking about
though.
the hoods I
That's where
come
your
from.
taxes
That I
went.
understand how it works.
That's where your taxes went, though.
What the banks? What? Okay. What the
They,
banks
they,
got
they
to
were they
do
were
with my
irresponsible.
neighborhood?
They
What
were
the bank got to
irresponsible.
do with my neighborhood?
What they had to do with it?
What the
The
bank got to do
foreclosure
with
rate,
my neighborhood?
the foreclosure rate, the foreclosure rate. When they was giving all those irresponsible loans
To the projects?
to
To the
people,
projects?
not just projects, people with
Nigga,
low
I said
income
the projects.
housing. But
I
all of
said the
that,
projects.
it ain't just projects though.
I'm
Even the
talking
people that's
about
making slightly more
projects.
than
I'm
them,
talking
it ain't
about low income housing.
even the people that that's how they end up there. They lose everything, end up going back to the
I'm not
projects.
saying end up there, nigga. I'm saying there. I'm saying from there.
They got there somehow.
Don't use hypotheticals. I'm
It's
using
not
facts.
hypothetical. I'm telling you what, something that really happened.
Hey,
Really
I
happened.
want to
Can I interject before I go back to work?
quick.
Go ahead, bro.
Put on the panel.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Mick, he asked the question. He said, "Are the people who continue to have children in the system abusing the system?" Now, my response to that is, it's not the majority that's abusing the system. There are people who are literally having children just so they could get government assistance. A lot of people that do that. I personally have experienced that. But there are other people who are in the system, they literally do need assistance too, as well. So it's like a 50-50 or a case by situation to answer that question.
Um,
All
I think that, I'm going to say this before I go back to work.
right.
Yeah, me too.
People that are abusing the system, there is a majority of people doing it. And the reason why I say that is you got stores, you got different places that are in the hood that are dedicated to selling you beer, selling you cigarettes, selling you alcohol, things that, non-food items. And they advertise it, and word gets around on the street. You could go to this place and buy cigarettes if you got an EBT card, or you can buy a beer here with an EBT card. So yeah, there is a big market out there for that. If you ask me, I say do away with all public assistance, because one, it will curtail the behavior of, it will actually put the responsibility of who you fuck and how you fuck them in your hands again. So if you know that, you know what I'm saying, you taking this risk of having a child that it ain't up for me, Mario, or anybody else on the panel, or anybody watching to take care of, then you're going to make more responsible decisions. I mean, and for the kids that get caught up in that situation, in this transition, in war, we call that collateral damage. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to have collateral damage. I'm sorry, but people are going to have to learn that they're going to have to, if you're going to have freedom and experience real freedom, then you got to have, with freedom comes responsibility. Now, when Mario was talking about this is a form of slavery, yes, it is, because somebody pays for those kids. When a woman gets hooked up with WIC and food stamps and all this other shit, they come after that man hardcore. Mm-hmm. And he's sold off to slavery pretty much, because then they have him working at the animal shelter or the Waffle House or working state roadside cleanup out there shamed in front of everybody. And then they put his picture up at the fucking post office. So yes, that is slavery again. Cut it all off. That's all I got to say.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, we appreciate you, Ricky, man. See you soon.
All right, see you soon.
No doubt, bro.
Appreciate you, Rick.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna get this thing wrapped up. I got some other things going on, but before I do, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that's tuned into Tough Love, that's been supporting Mario J, moving this platform forward. I want to give my brothers an opportunity to actually give their last words. So I'm gonna give everybody about a minute to go ahead and spill, whatever they think their premise is in reference to their narrative and what they want to promote. So I'm gonna give King, since King has been a silent killer over there, I'm gonna let him go first, and then I'm gonna let Lloyd follow up, and I'm gonna close the show out.
Yeah, 1 minute, Lord, not 20 minutes.
Go ahead, man. Lloyd gonna curse you out, dude.
I ain't gonna cuss him out for what?
Go ahead.
I'm happy you got internet right now.
I'm happy, bro. I am. I'm happy I got internet. But my final take on this is that at the end of the day, there are many people who are abusing the system. the government, they are doing their best to try to rectify that and try to deal with these people who are abusing the system. And also at the same time, the government do have certain mandates that the people must comply with in order for them to be receiving the assistance that they have, you know. But at the end of the day, do I believe that we should do away with having public assistance? Personally, I believe that we shouldn't. The reason why is because there are honestly people who really do need that extra push so they could go progress further in life, but it only just for a temporary basis, and that's it. You know, other than that, cut it off all the way off for them.
No doubt, no doubt. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I'm gonna let Lloyd get his words in.
All right. So at the end of the day, you know, you either getting over on the system or the system's getting over on you. And if the system is getting over on you, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to you to put yourself in a position where the system is no longer getting over on you. Blaming other people or being upset with other groups of people that you feel like are the problem, you know, that's also the lack of accountability that we're blaming those same people for having. You know, just like how I mentioned, banks got bailed out. The car industry got bailed out. They all were making irresponsible decisions, and they all got irresponsibly bailed out in ways that poor people can only imagine getting bailed out. But we didn't take too much issue with that. And that was those you know, if you're talking about the poor people, you know, was getting assistance, you know, utilizing your tax dollars, what do you think those were? Those were your tax dollars too. When GM got bailed out, when Daimler Chrysler got bailed out, when all these banks that got bailed out. And you know, even up to now, where you look at all these companies that took advantage of the money that was made available, you know, for the stimulus. Like these companies, a lot of companies got over who didn't even need the capital. Everyone's gaming the system, and so the issue is, don't be mad at the people who's better at gaming the system than you are. If you're being taken advantage by the system, that's up to you to take yourself out of that situation and restructure your game plan so you are no longer being taken advantage of the system. Unless you like it. If you like it, just deal with it. But don't be mad at the people that's playing the game better than you are, no matter what position it is. If at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest. So that's just what it is. It's no matter what the game is, there's going to be people that's going to manipulate the rules. There's going to be people that are going to get by. There's people that are going to leverage it. No matter how you change rules, if we take away government assistance, it's going to be another way that people figure out how to get over. Because that's what some people do.
Again, you know, I would like to thank Lloyd, Ricky, and King for coming on the show. For my callers, I got a lot to say, but I'm really gonna keep this shit short. To me, it's not about the system. To me, it's about the people, right? And it's about being a child from an area where I've seen overdoses, I've seen, you know what I'm saying, addictions, I've seen crime, I've seen just abuse, I've seen so much. At some point in time, you know what I'm saying, you ask, where are the people that is going to come in and fix this? Who's responsible for coming in? And my issue as I grew up and I started to see more, I started to get educated, I started to actually learn how to communicate and do certain things. I started to realize that it's going to take people from within to have an understanding that first, it's a problem, and two, to come up with a structured guidance to get that problem fixed, and then be smart enough to say, well, I'm then going to say, since it's the survival of the fittest, based on what Lloyd said, I'm then going to be smart enough to reach out to people outside my community to impact and influence my community. So I think there's a lot of conversations that still need to have. I think there's a lot of action that still need to be taken. So I'm hoping that this narrative, this conversation has promoted some type of thought process. So when you look at your candidates and when they're talking about certain things, it's not about just country clubs and who get money from, you know, overseas. It's about what are they really doing for you and your community? What are they doing for your next generation? So I'm hoping that we've exercised some thought. I'm hoping that all these perspectives give you a better perspective on life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tough Love. I'm Mario J. I'm hoping that you have a blessed weekend. God bless. Peace.